Hello and welcome. This is 117 things you may have missed in Halo Reach. Number 1. If the player has the Haunted Helmet equipped, the back of the skull can be seen inside the helmet at the beginning of the Arrival cutscene. There are a total of 7 armor abilities in Halo Reach. There is Sprint, Armor Lock, Jetpack, Active Camouflage, Hologram, Drop Shield, and Evade. The Falcon has 2 symbols of a falcon located on the front and back sides. Emil will survey the forward area and then jump off this boulder, breaking his shields. When playing on Legendary difficulty, a cloaked Spec Ops elite will spawn near the start of the level, fleeing from the site of the distress beacon to the bottom of the first hill. What makes him special is the fact that he holds the first accessible datapad in the campaign. If the player is fast enough, he or she can kill the elite before he escapes, giving them access to the datapad. A Forerunner symbol can be seen stamped next to this gate and on several other locations around this level. The symbol was originally seen in Combat Evolved, most commonly on the mission Assault on the Control Room. If the player kills 7 MOAs in this level Winter Contingency, they will unlock the achievement Keep It Clean. The side text on the MA-37 assault rifle incorrectly says it's an MA-5C, which is the version seen in Halo 3. When the player zooms in with a non-scoped weapon, a line of binary code is visible in the lower left corner. When translated from ASC 8-bit binary code, the code reads Dave, a reference to Bungie's interface designer, Dave Canland. In the room where Noble Team discovers the 2 dead and tortured troopers and civilians, Elite and Jackal footprints can be seen in the blood on the floor. There's also 7 human bodies in this room, 2 army troopers, and 5 civilians. Numerous Easter egg elites known as Bobs are encountered throughout the campaign. They're almost always elite rangers with gold-colored armor and will usually flee the player after a short period of time. In the cutscene where the Field Marshal and his zealots ambush Noble Team, Carter saves Kat by pushing her out of the way of the Field Marshal's energy sword. When Noble 6 recovers his assault rifle after the attack, it has 7 rounds left in its magazine, which is also another 7 reference. The second elite that flees Noble Team bumps his head on this doorway. The trooper that's taken hostage by the elites tries to hang on to the doorway, even attempting a second try before getting dragged off. George actually throws the flare that illuminates the Hidden Covenant. One of the zealots can be seen fiddling and tampering with the junction that the player has to reset later. This dead trooper is presumably the one that was taken hostage earlier. The assault rifle the player starts with in this level has more than the usual rounds reserved. In this case, it starts with 375. This may be a reference to the number 343, as after one entire mag is used, the player will have 343 rounds in reserve. All army troopers have their blood type displayed on their uniforms. All male army troopers also have an emblem with a hexagon divided by a diagonal line on their shoulders. Curiously, female troopers lack this symbol. Certain grunts methane tanks like Majors, Heavies, and Ultras have moving parts to them. This is the only level in Reach to feature the Troop Transport Warthog in gameplay. When zoomed in with the target locator, holding down the right trigger will show the word Acquiring on the lower left corner of the HUD, although it is misspelled. In Halo Reach, all Pelicans encountered throughout the campaign are registered as Noble Team assets. They're all stamped with the tag Noble 48. The target locator calls in 7 missiles from orbit. When the player completes both objectives outside the base, the Corvette will switch from shooting the airfield to bombarding Sword Base. Unique elite Bobs can be found on this level. The first will spawn in the courtyard when the player returns to Sword Base and flees to the area where the level began. The second Bob will be on the second floor of Sword Base's west wing, underneath where the elite general appears. Both Bobs will be dual-wielding plasma rifles and have random armor painted white, unlike all the other Bobs seen throughout the campaign. The Jackal Major's shield will turn blue when taking damage, the exact opposite of the Miner's shield. The worms seen on the Hunter's back and neck will slither and move up and down throughout the Hunter's body. The Hunter's assault cannon gun flaps now have an animation where they extend and close every time it charges and fires its weapon. These Grunt Heavies are seen wielding plasma rifles. This is the first time in-game that Grunts are spawned in using plasma rifles as starting weapons. Dr. Halsey's character biped is the same as the dead scientist found in Winter Contingency. If examined closely, the lights on the Grunt's methane tanks and mask have a glowing and pulse effect. The Dreaming Grunt Easter egg can be found on this level. Just hang around any sleeping Grunt with the "I woulda been your daddy" skull turned on, and eventually he'll mutter something.
Funny, but I dream in English.
These elites at the Hydro plant overlooking the stealth column have a unique pointing animation. It's entirely possible to skip fighting the Hunters and the rest of the enemies at the stealth pylon stage of the level by performing a forklift glitch. Just drive the forklift's left side as close as you can to the gate, then get out of the vehicle. If done correctly, the player should move through the gate and end up on the other side. After performing this glitch, the enemies on the rest of the level will not spawn. You can actually see the beginning section of the next mission, Tip of the Spear, where Kat and Noble Six jump the destroyed bridge and battle shade turrets on foot. If you have subtitles enabled, the subtitles will show June saying, "Time to bake that cake we made last night," instead of
"That charge link is loud and clear"
in the final game. When the machine guns on these Warthogs fire on the attacking Banshees, their barrels do not spin. This trooper gets launched out of his Warthog when hit. If the player looks over the ridge, they can see the massive battle below, with Warthogs and Scorpions fighting ghosts, wraiths, and even scarabs. This brave Falcon pilot gets shot down by the AA Wraith. The same thing also happens to these Falcons at the second gun. The player can destroy sections of the floating towers without destroying the entire tower. It's actually possible to destroy the AA guns from the outside, instead of having to destroy the core. Just shoot the back of the cannons with either heavy weapons or vehicles. After destroying the first AA gun, longsword fighters will do a strafing run and bomb the scarabs in the valley below. Two frigates will then come in and set up a position over the battlefield, firing their guns at the Covenant forces. This Pelican drops off a deployable bridge over the broken section, allowing the player to cross. The mining facility in this level is run by the BXR Mining Company, a reference to the BXR button combination in Halo 2. When firing grenades from both the handheld grenade launcher and the M460 seen on the sides of Falcons, a skull and crossbones symbol will appear below the distance counter when the grenade is set to manual detonation. When a grenade explodes, the weapon's display also says boom. After the player has fought through the Covenant on the beach and reached the Saber facility's entrance, Spirit dropships will continuously drop off more Covenant to assault the beach. Pelicans will also fly in to drop off squads of army troopers. The Seraphs seen flying over the launch facility can be locked on with the rocket launcher. The hologram of the Corvette and flight control reacts as if it were a solid object. Bullets will impact it instead of going straight through. There are 7 space structures, 6 UNSC construction platforms, and 1 refit station, Anchor 9. Anchor 9 is also armed with 7 point defense guns. On the underside of the Ardent Prayer, a large number of Space Banshees are seen docked. They'll launch if attacked or when the player destroys the engines to help reinforce the Seraphs. Insertion pods similar to the ones seen earlier in the level can be seen deployed by the Corvette. Seraphs and Banshees can be seen docked onto the ceiling and sides of the hangar bay. If the player is holding a depleted energy sword, assassinations will still animate as if the sword is still activated, making it look like the enemy is being impaled by an invisible blade. If the player's energy sword is depleted, the blade will also still be seen when using active camouflage. On the massive hologram of Reach in the center of the Corvette's bridge, the player can see the symbols of the incoming Covenant fleet that show up at the ending cutscene. The turret of the Pelican is usable thanks to a glitch. Just crouch right next to it and hold your action button. This is also an achievement in MCC. Noble 6's pistol has 7 rounds in its magazine at the beginning of the level. A teddy bear backpack can be seen here. You can also gain an achievement in MCC when you discover it. Brute and Jackal footprints can be found in the blood around dead civilians, similar to the Elite and Jackal footprints seen in Winter Contingency. Every few minutes, longsword patrols can be seen flying overhead. The same Forerunner symbol seen on the gate in Winter Contingency can be found in this laundry room before going outside. There's a bottle of cleaning fluid on a shelf with this symbol on it. The Moa Burger combo is 7.77 credits. The Spiker's muzzle now gets red hot when fired for long periods of time. The lights on the back and sides also glow brighter the longer the weapon fires. All ODST have the same blood type, O positive. They also have a Helljumper symbol of a flaming skull on the right side of their chests. These ODSTs will actually salute Noble 6 before he leaves. All Falcons and Pelicans have the same set of serial numbers: AMX42, 6480, and V23 painted on their hulls. The Brute Chieftain's helmets have added blades on either side. They're also the only brutes in the game that have any type of facial hair, with them sporting long beards. This building completely collapses and leaves a fiery light where it lands. An Easter egg composed of a group of newspapers arranged to form a smiley face can be found on the roof of the Sino Vet Center above the green symbol. The numerous shade turrets seen on the rooftops are actually automatic and pilotless. The player can see and shoot through the shield that covers the controls. After completing the first objective, a CCS-class battlecruiser will fly overhead. After stopping above the city's outskirts, the cruiser starts to glass the area. After completing the second objective, a second battlecruiser flies overhead and also begins glassing the area. The layout of Club Herrera is the same as the courtyard in ODST where Dare's pod crashes. Club Herrera also has an Easter egg where you can encounter a Covenant dance party. All you have to do is activate this switch located on the lower part of the hospital building before you head into the club. After it's activated, the usual hunters and marines will be replaced by dancing grunts and a brute DJ. Furthermore, if you then go to the roof of the building and activate this switch, the music will change in the club to the Siege of Madrigal. The elevator music heard in this elevator plays different songs each time you ride it. Some of the songs are also from Marty O'Donnell's old commercial jingles. A drone scurries out of view just as the player exits the elevator off to the right. These puddles of water glitch out when you throw grenades in them. If the player walks to the highest level on the right side, they will find a shell-shock trooper cowering in a corner. In one of the emergency side missions, the player has to escort Edward Buck seen from ODST. The Flying Pelican and Phantom can be found in this level by activating the switch on the building next to Club Herrera. After this is done, the player must fly either a Falcon or Banshee through this building on the outskirts of the map. If done correctly, your vehicle will change to a Pelican or Phantom respectively. There's a crashed Banshee in the room where Noble Team regroups. June has a tattoo of a fist holding 3 arrows which can be seen on the left side of his face. Cat misses the button in this elevator and has to try a second time to activate it. The Scorpion tank has the serial number of George 052 painted on the side. The screen on the Gauss cannon pulses an X symbol that looks similar to the original Xbox logo. This cutscene in which Dr. Halsey briefs Noble Team on the Forerunner artifact is actually interactive. Similar to the opening of ODST, the player can move their head and look around but not move. If one looks down, it's possible to see the Spartan's emblem on his or her chest, the only way to do so in single player. The name of the final chapter, "This Cave is Not a Natural Formation," is a reference to the line spoken by Cortana in Combat Evolved on the level Halo. You can shoot the headgear off the head of an engineer, revealing its cute face. The Tribute Room Easter egg can be found on this level. All you have to do is play the level on Legendary, activate this switch by either using a jetpack or sprinting around this way. Once the switch has been pressed, all of your AI allies will disappear and 7 elite generals will leave through this door. After defeating the elites and going through the door, you will be teleported to the corridor from the level's ending cutscene, with no ammo or grenades and no armor abilities. The room itself is Halsey's lab from the level's ending cinematic. It's full of Easter eggs, documents written from Halsey's point of view, pictures, and concept art. When Dr. Halsey talks to Noble Team at the end of the level, she has a display screen of Noble Team, including George and Kat, both of whom have been listed as MIA. 6 CCS-class battlecruisers can be seen off in the distance between clouds. These cargo trucks and 18-wheel tractors can be driven with or without Emil at the beginning of this level. Numerous destroyed or abandoned evac transports, frigates, and cruisers can be seen in the distance. This device encountered after you cross the broken bridge is a Grunt methane recharge station. Several Grunts can be seen refilling their tanks, and if shot, the station is highly explosive. This Jackal spawns with a plasma rifle, which is the only time this happens in the entire campaign. These troops seen aiding the player at the Mass Driver and on Keyes' Pelican are actually Marines, instead of the army troopers seen throughout the game. The Marathon symbol engraved on the side of the Autumn is now replaced with the 7th column symbol seen on the hull. 2 Scarabs alongside Wraiths and Ghosts can be seen fighting Warthogs and Scorpions in the background, below the Pillar of Autumn. This Brute Chieftain and his backup have a unique animation where they swing out of this phantom. Captain Keyes' line when he first meets Noble Six changes on Legendary, with him calling Halsey by her first name, Catherine.
Good to see you, Spartan. Halsey assured me I could count on you. Good to see you, Spartan. Catherine assured me I could count on you.
Captain Keyes' uniform has the 7th column symbol on his chest, instead of the Marathon symbol seen in Combat Evolved. The elite field marshal fought here right before the Mass Driver is presumably the same field marshal that attacked Noble Team at the Visegrad Relay and the one who killed Kat in New Alexandria. The field marshal is also the only enemy in Halo Reach capable of switching weapons mid-fight. He's equipped with a fuel rod cannon, and when his shields are depleted, he will switch to an energy sword. Emil and the dead Zealot elites still have their shields active even though they've been killed. The shields will still flare up and drain when shot or meleeed, and even recharge after a short time. Emil's knife can be seen in one of the elites' necks. Emil's Spartan number S239 and Anti-Dot's grid pattern is painted on the back of the Mass Driver's frame. The player doesn't actually have to destroy a single Phantom or Banshee before you have to shoot the cruiser. If the right thumbstick is held to the right during this part of the cutscene, you can see Master Chief inside his cryopod. 13 dead Spartans can be found in this level. After the level's end, Noble 6 becomes the 14th dead Spartan in this area, a reference to the number 7, since 7 times 2 equals 14. The final fate of Noble 6 echoes the first campaign level of Reach. Instead of being saved by Carter from being killed by an elite's energy dagger, 6 meets his demise as another Singhili Zealot ignites his energy dagger and stabs him in the final cinematic. And number 117. The date of the cutscene following the level is July 7th, 2589. This is a reference to Bungie Day, which takes place on July 7th. This is also another 7 reference, as the year is made up of 25, which is 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 89, which is 8 plus 9 equals 17. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more things you may have missed in the Halo series, please like, subscribe, and share. All your support is much appreciated, and I hope to see you in the next one.